Welcome to Storytime. I'm your host and author, Cherie Baker. Today we'll be reading from Coffee Cakes and Dragon Eggs, a cozy fantasy set in modern-day England. Enjoy! Chapter 15. A thump, loud enough to rattle the window shutters, woke Eliza from the first pleasant dream she'd managed in days. She bolted upright, clutching the warm blanket to her tummy scales. She must have fallen asleep near the fire grate, waiting for her aunt to come back. Eliza glanced around the weaving room. Violet never climbed the stairs, so the noise couldn't have been her aunt. The only sound now was a gentle rumble from the workshops. Violet rented them out to the artist on the ground level. Eliza hung a pair of glasses, which she'd nearly crushed while sleeping, around her neck, and then set about inspecting the room. No dust had been disturbed on the spinning machines, and her treasures appeared to be secure. All her books were still perfectly lined up by color and size, as they should be. And the noise must have come from outside. Eliza climbed on the windowsill and peered over the countryside. The low clouds obscured the top of the gorge, but something glinted in the weak light. Eliza held the glasses dangling around her neck up to one eye. There were masses of people in dirty clothes coming out of the ground, over by the farm. "They're coming! I knew it!" Eliza shuffled a quick four-footed tap. The zombies would be here any minute. She had to find Auntie. Eliza raced downstairs, peeking in the kitchen, the lounge, the bedrooms, even the cafe. Every room was empty. Where was she? They had to hide. Perhaps Violet had heard the noises too. Maybe she'd gone to the workshops to warn the artist. Eliza crept down to the engine room. The echoing space was almost empty. Other than the cylindrical boiler and the giant cogs used to power everything, there were just a few empty crates gathering dust along the far wall. The block and tackle had rust on it. The hemp ropes lay on the packed dirt floor, slowly disintegrating, but the brass details on the steam engine glowed in the dim light. Eliza came down to oil and polish her old pal every day. Shame Violet said no one wanted hand-spun wool anymore. They never let her build up the fire now. It blew smoke rings just like she did, and made the mill super cozy. She patted the cast-iron steamer as she quickly crossed the packed dirt to the workshop's double-wide door. The solid iron bar across it was still latched, with a heavy iron padlock, which meant Violet couldn't have gone in there. So, if she wasn't in the workshop, Violet could be dead already! Eliza twisted a strand of red beads around her finger. The smooth stones bumped over her claw, reminding her of her grandma's advice. "Stop letting your excited brain do the deciding." She counted the beads until her whizzing mind slowed. She wasn't a body, so Violet wasn't dead. She was just missing. That was good, but the monsters were still coming. She needed to find Violet so she could hide together. Eliza pressed her eye to a crack in the frame. On the other side, a woman dressed in dusty jeans and a faded fleece shirt and brown boots moved around in one of the studios. She carried an enormous piece of timber on her shoulder. The rest of the doors along the wide open hallway that led outside were locked. Violet said the carpenter's name was Karen. With her jeans and work boots, she extruded a sturdy presence and had a kind, wholesome face. She seemed to be sensible enough not to scream and run away like a baby. This would be the perfect person to ask for help. She'd be able to stake the zombies good and hard. Eliza had her paw on the door when something zipped across the hall. It was person-shaped, but no bigger than her paw. The thing scrambled up the wall and clung to the light, which started flickering. A moment later, a man in a navy blue suit and a silver brocade waistcoat with a brown fedora hat peered in. He didn't look quite as well turned out as the men that used to arrive in carriages, but he was much better dressed than any man she'd seen in decades. He glanced around. His eyes settled on the door Eliza was hiding behind. It felt like he could see right down to Eliza's bones. Thank goodness there was a door here. "Can I help you?" Karen leaned out of her cubicle, followed by a cloud of sawdust. The man turned towards Karen faster than a schoolboy caught with his pants down. She snapped her safety goggles up. "If you're looking for the photographer, she just went to lunch." No. He glanced at the little man-thing crawling on the light. The little person waved a rude gesture and jumped off the light to scamper across the ceiling. Eliza lost sight of it. The man strode after the creature. Fear spiked through Eliza's gut. Did he have to come so close to her hiding place? This was just like a zombie film. If she moved, he'd hear her. "Go away," she whispered. The little creature zipped through the crack in the door in the wall. The fancy man leaned towards the door with cupped hands. She should back up. But fear froze Eliza in place. The little man-thing landed on Eliza's snout and bit down. If you've enjoyed this section, please like and subscribe. New chapters will be recorded weekly. Alternatively, check out the description for places to purchase the book.